Good evening and welcome. Welcome to my live stream, Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. I'm your host, Bob Pace, and it's a warm welcome. You new people, it may be very hard and difficult at your time right now because you've encountered a government entity that you know nothing about. Someone who's attacked your family and kidnapped your kids into foster care. That's illegal. Trafficking is illegal. And so is alienation because they're going to determine, they're going to try to alienate your children from you as a family. Now, probably those are harsh words to hear from me, but it's all based on doing these two live streams I do daily, 7 days a week. That's 14 live streams. I don't think anybody else does that many live streams about CPS or live streams about anything. But I've been on here for over 24 months. This is my 25th month, my second year, third year now, started my third year. Now, it's important you realize that this is not legal advice I'm giving out. I'm not an attorney or a lawyer. It's educational purposes only. But I too was a victim of CPS. I've been fighting them for 15 years since 2010. And I've talked to over 2,800 people who've had CPS cases, not only from every state in the United States, but from 23 countries around the world, with the United States as a total of 24 countries. I've heard from Indonesia, Bangladesh, and India. Then up to the Middle East, it's been Saudi Arabia and Iraq and Libya. Then over to the continent of Africa, I've heard from Liberia to Sudan to Republic of Congo to Rwanda to Mozambique and to South Africa and its provinces. Then up to Europe, United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales, and then Denmark and Sweden. Across the pond to North America, it's been Canada and its provinces. And further south, the United States and all 50 states have either texted a message or called in. I've also heard from Washington, D.C. South of border, Mexico, and then further south in South America and north of Brazil, on the East Coast, Grenada. Then in the South Pacific, New Zealand, and then the land down under, Australia and its states. Those 2,800 people have all expressed something common we all have. They've encountered a rogue CPS that does not do family reunification, that takes your children, steals your children, and traffics them into foster care. They'll alienate your children from you as parents. Now, that sounds terrible, and I know it does, but it's factual. It does happen. I have a group of 30 to 50 people that are my regulars, my family that come on here twice a day. And they too can relate and tell you what I'm talking about. It's a well diverse kind of people, but the one thing we all have in common, including myself, that we're low income. There's nothing wrong with being low income. There could be a lot of reasons. Lost a job, you know, um, the area you live in, and so forth. It's struggling time. It's hard times in the United States. It's more so today than I think, 60 years ago. We have a really troubled world, and our children are being abused and neglected around the world. But also, we have a government entity that was created in 62 by an act of Congress that informs social services to create a group of social workers to protect her children from neglect and abuse. They're also supposed to do something called family reunification. The reason why reunification is so important because studies have shown the best way to raise children is with the biological parents, the mother and the father. That's the best way. And if they did screw up or some things, they can be corrected. Nothing's virtually impossible, and reunification should happen all the time. But unfortunately, in 97, President Bill Clinton signed into law the Incentive Act, which basically translate where the U.S. government will pay a CPS entity in the county $35,000 per child for every child they get adopted in foster care. Apparently, the administration at that time um, did not care about the long process of family reunification. It takes about a year for family unification. One of the reasons, you're taking parenting classes that are usually a month to 3 months, or you're doing programs 6 months to a year. One of the programs is a 52-week course. And that's why it takes so long because it's got to be done first. All the programs, all the classes, your plan, when your plan is developed of how to regain custody of your children and get the family back together again is so important. Now, we have lots of ways we can interact with this live stream. One way is to text a message, And I put my banner up there, which will show you pretty much what it is. Now, good evening, Betty Joe. Betty Joe is a longtime family member here who is from the state of Montana. And she has been with me every step of the way. And I'm pleased to have her here. And a very good warm evening to you, Betty Joe. She had a terrible day the other day last week, and she was still trying to fight and doesn't understand why her niece, her brother's daughter, can't be reunited with a family member, why they're insisting that her niece should be kept by a foster care stranger in Nebraska who wants nothing more than the money that the child protection gives her to have that child. She's not family, she's not blood. Betty Joe is. And for those who don't know Betty Joe, she is a very sweet and loving person. She's also a foster mom. She knows how it's hard when children don't have fathers or mothers. Not too long ago, about a month ago, she adopted a small child who his parents were killed on a Friday night and taken from him early in life. He's a young child. I think he's 5 years old or 6. They tried to put him with a family member, but it didn't work out. So he was staying with her a lot, so he had bonded with Betty Joe. So she's adopted him. I'm curious, Betty Joe, how's he doing? How's he doing? Also, Betty Joe wants very much for her brother's child to be with her. It's family. Her brother has a lot of issues that need to be resolved. And during that process, if she had a niece, maybe he could be good one day, he could take his daughter back again. So she wants custody of her niece to take care of the niece. And it's a good choice because CPS is supposed to put children, they can't be with their parents, with next of kin, family members that, there's some bonding the child can see. But that isn't the case with the CPS entity of Nebraska. The CPS entity in Nebraska is very corrupt. So I'm glad that Betty Joe is here. And I'm glad to hear that the boy she adopted is doing great. because Betty Jo is a good person. She's a good mom, and she make a good um, to take care of her niece. And I always pray for that. I too have my ups and downs because I am fighting CPS. I still am. Last week I was fighting Social Security. I was able to write a letter and save myself spending $26,000. There was false allegations made. I orchestrated the letter, and now they've dropped it after my day there. Social Security is really hurting right now because no one's getting paid. Even the third party security officer, doing enforcement has not been paid. Our government is not being paid. People are working for nothing. These are good people. If you work at a job and you get nothing, most people quit. Most people quit. And a lot of the workers have. A lot of the workers have. This shutdown is ridiculous. It shouldn't be happening. It should not be happening. Very immature people can't suck up their pride to come forward and balance a budget. For some strange reason, not everybody, but a lot of the people are upset because Kamala Harris isn't the president, and Kamala Harris would do a better job. All I know is that tomorrow the hostages after a 2-year war are coming home. And Trump's only been in office since January. This is his 10th month. He's trying to settle the war in Gaza and return the hostages. He put to stop to Iran, who was creating nuclear bombs. He put a stop to it. He shows what the might of the United States is. It's a clear message to anybody out there that the United States is the most powerful nation on this earth. But we internally have issues that need to be resolved. And those are like the child protection system. We're very democratic, sometimes too democratic. We have three parts of the United States: the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary branches. Judiciary branches deal with law. The executive deals with the president, vice president's cabinets. And the legislative deals with Congress, who meet in the Capitol. These are senators, 2 for every state, and representatives, depending on your population of your states, will determine the number of representatives for each state. Now we have the trifecta in place, meaning that party-wise, Republicans control the Congress, the executive. I mean, it's supposed to work, but there are, and I'm not trying to use the word elder, but there are older people that maybe because their age are becoming senile or something that want to upset the balance of power, and they want to disrupt anything good that President Trump's doing. Anything good that he does. They've never liked the man, not even before he was president, after he was president. During his first term as president, he did a good job. And I think he would have been elected for the second term, but he wasn't. Now, he could have said goodbye to all of you. He doesn't need this job for money. He's president of the United States with a no salary. Yes, he flies around. He is very active president. He's going to be flying now over to the Middle East to witness the signing of some very important paperwork. Anybody that's traveled with him on his plane sees he does not sleep. He's constantly moving around and talking and working things out. He's a working president. He's not in there for his ego or anything else. His pastime is golf. He plays golf. People get upset when he's on the golf course. Um, he has a family. Some of his family have helped negotiate the peace talks with the Middle East. From his daughter, from his son in laws, even from his son. His youngest son is Barron, and his wife Melania. They are good people. They've developed something called Doge that was started in January of 2025 this year. It's a slow process, this Doge. He had a brilliant man in charge of it for so many months. That was all that was required. You can't be in it forever. And yes, the axe did fall on a lot of people, but a lot of people were home, not doing a job and getting paid by the government. Now, what has all got to do with CPS? Well, this Doge is an organization that's investigating the practices of the child protection system. There is corruptness within that, I've discovered. For instance, the money. It's $1 trillion business. It's all about money. They make lots of money. And a lot of our children are being abused and neglected. There's no question that that's a problem. We have too many children that are being trafficked in the United States. I live in an area where it's the number one trafficking in the world. Um, it's one of the richest places in the world. Of course, that's not me anymore. I'm in the wrong town right now living here because I can't afford living here. CPS has been murdered to me. I've lost my favorite home thanks to them. I lost one of my children. I have 6 children I've helped raise. One of them, my youngest daughter, was coached by the social worker, her CASA person who steered her into doing the things that she did. Not only that, the social worker is the one that instigated it. And she did it because my attorney at the time, and still my attorney, caught her with lies. Caught her with lies. Now, besides Betty Joe in here from Montana, Joe, Betty Joe says he lost his first tooth today. I remember that with my children. He came to me and said, Mommy, I lost my tooth. I lost my mom and dad too. He knows he lost his mom and dad, not because he wanted to, because they had a horrible accident. I don't know the details, but fortunately, God was watching over him and hooked him up with a beautiful foster care person who's taking care of it. Betty Joe has adopted it. Um, we have somebody here that doesn't really, I guess, have a name. It's a message. And I had told on my banner that I'd like you to state your first name and the city and state and country where you're at. I don't know where you're at. Now, the statement you made is a political statement. Um, you have to understand the administration that was before him decided to stop the closing of the borders that Trump started 4 years ago. and open it to free will of people coming in. The cartel could bring in, the cartel of the drug lords could bring in their drugs, which one of the biggest drugs is fentanyl that kills people. All it takes is 2 grams of fentanyl in your day. If it's laced in marijuana, which a lot of it is, you're dead. The cartel doesn't care. And they used children as a cover up. And they've now taxed our social service to the point where our social service is really broke. Because it used to be when you became a citizen of the United States, you want to immigrate to the United States, you had to come to Ellis Island. If you're in Canada, you couldn't cross the border. If you're in Mexico, you couldn't cross the border. You had to come in through Ellis Island, get off at Ellis Island, and then go through scrutiny because we wanted people to come into our country that can contribute to our country, that are not going to take from our country, that are free of any serious diseases, and people that weren't crooks, people that weren't gang members. And we can control it on Ellis Island in New York. Also, people were told that if they want to become a citizen, they have to learn the native language. And in the United States, the native language is English. Many cities have even had to mandate laws to proclaim that English is the language. Yes, we are a cosmopolitan mixture of people worldwide, but this land since the 1600s has been English. There have been pockets of other languages, don't get me wrong, but it's English. So that's the first step of becoming a U.S. citizen. The second step is to learn the history of the United States, how it was started from 1776 all the way forward to the horrible times of the Civil War. And you can learn a lot about child protection through those years, how we protect our children. We've been protecting our children for 425 years. There are cases of child abuse in the 1600s, in our early colonial days, when we had a settlement of Jamestown, Virginia, and Plymouth Rock. We've gone through a lot there. Yes, we have a shutdown, but it isn't because of Trump. It's easy to point fingers at somebody. It is. What Trump said, does not want. He wants to stop paying the cartel. He wants to stop paying the drug lords. There are so many pockets of crime in different parts of the United States. He's had a crackdown in trying to get rid of the, and he's been blocked every step of the way. All I know is he's doing good out there. We're better off with him there, and Doge. We'll get to the bottom of CPS's corruptness. They have done so much harm by taking our federal funds and giving each other bonuses and taking bonuses. They're crooks. In Richmond, Kentucky, I'm going to give you some points to what I'm saying. $1 million went unaccounted for from the federal government, given to the state, and the state to the county in Richmond, in Kentucky. Well, they found 400,000 of it. It's with a social worker. He embezzled the funds. And imagine the other 600 has been embezzled too. Because there's no accountability of the money. Billions of dollars flows from the federal government to the state, and millions of dollars flows from the state to the county. Every state has counties. North Carolina has over 100 counties. California has 68 counties. Every county has a child protection system in place. They have different names: Department of Children's Services, Department of Family and Children's Services, the Child Protection Services, Department of Children's Services, the Cabinet. It goes on and on. When I say CPS, I mean all the child protection systems in the United States. but there's a lot of corruption. We don't have a board of supervisors or a board of directors monitoring the actions of the Child Protection Agency. Every county seems to be uh, different. They have different sets of rules and different things to follow. And a lot of them, and I don't know why they are like that, are like on a witch hunt. They think every parent is corrupt, that every parent is neglectful with their children or abuses their children. Yes, there are outlandish cases of child abuse and neglect. Don't get me wrong. I hear about the horror stories all the time about the mother that takes off for a week vacation and leaves her 4 month old, was it 4 months? Uh, I think it was a 10-month old child alone in a bouncy seat with the activities and a drink put on there. And she thought that's all she had to worry about. She wasn't in care of anybody. She's found a week later, the child was dehydrated and dead. He had maggots in his diaper. I could go on. It was a horrific thing. And that mother is serving time, but she didn't care. So don't get me wrong. I'm not here to get rid of child protection service. I'm here to help you understand how it works, how you can stand up to them, your civil rights, your constitutional rights. You see, as becoming a U.S. citizen, the third part of the equation, besides learning English as a language, U.S. history, you have to learn how the U.S. government works, how the legislative branches work. I think a lot of you would understand what this government shutdown before if you go back and refresh your government, or maybe you didn't take a government class. Maybe you don't know how the senators and the representatives worked. To make changes, we, the people, have to get it before Congress to make the changes. In 62, an act was made by Congress that mandated that social services would protect our children from neglect and abuse. And they form what we see before us, the child protection system. And I think what's happened is that it's gone old or decayed or whatever case it was. In 62, but it wasn't until 1974 they finally got laws that had any meat to them about protecting our children. So from 62 to 74, that took how long? It took 8 and 4, that's 12 years before they had any laws that they could enforce. And it wasn't until 1978 when they enacted the Indian Child Welfare Act. Now you probably say, why does that bother me? Well, our first immigrants to this country were the Native American Indians. These were tribes from Asia that migrated through Alaska, that settled in Canada, the area of Canada. They're called the First Nation people. In our United States, they're called Native Americans. They're the Indians. They're the ones that um, were settling here. The people after them were the Vikings. A lot of people say, oh, no Vikings. Well, they got as far west as Missouri. They're up in Nova Scotia and Rhode Island. There are a lot of artifacts about the Vikings, but they were people that were explorers, but they weren't settlers. They did settle in Greenland and Iceland, and they tried to. But most of the time, they were explorers and they lived a very nomadic lifestyle. They're great sailors. They're first grade sailors, but they're the second immigration. And they did not do well with the North American Indians. The Indians were tough. They did not open up, welcome the Vikings with open arms. Then after that came the Europeans. These were the English, the French, the Dutch, the Spanish, the French. People from Europe came to settle in the United States. There's a case in Jamestown of a child abuse case. Jamestown was one of the earliest colonies. It's interesting how they took care of their children. Now, I do want to tell you what else you can do here. You can also be a guest on my live stream. To be a guest on my live stream, all you have to do is email me. It's right there in the banner. There are 14 shows to choose from. I'm on twice a day. My morning show is Fight CPS with Bob Pace. It's on at 10 o'clock every morning, Monday through Friday. Then again on Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. My evening show is on every night of the week, 7 days a week at 7 p.m. at night. Now, my shows are in 1 hour, and the times of the West Coast of California. I'm transmitting south of Los Angeles at the beach, place called Surf City, USA. I'm 3 blocks from the ocean. And I do this not because I have to, it's because I want you to know what I know so you don't do the same mistakes that I did. I have developed 5 rules. If I had known those 5 rules, I would never have had my children stolen or trafficked into CPS or trafficked into foster care. My kids were abused, just like many of yours are. There was no thrust or themes of trying to help out the family. My kids were in school and they were taken from me. They lived in a beautiful home a mile from the beach with their own bedroom and own bathroom. Now I have 6 children. 3 of my oldest have families. A fourth, my oldest, has a family but no children yet. I think that's what I'm trying to say. My younger ones, my 3 younger ones of the 6, were caught up in CPS. I've been fighting them for 5 years, and they finally were convinced enough to take my children. It was sad. They used a very corrupt police department to investigate with false allegations. I eventually won all this, but not at the expense of my family's suffering. My children today are messed up. My young children, my older children have been fractionized from the family. We as a family do not get together, which is sad. I have a beautiful table that I bought when times were good that could sit 8 people. My family is a total of 8, a mother and father and 6 children, 3 boys and 3 girls. I love my family. I love my wife. I have 43 years of marriage experience, and I have 61 years of life skills. I've been working that long. I started at age 15, and I have not stopped working. And it gets harder as time goes on. It gets harder as time goes on. So if you want to be a guest, I can take up 9 of you, and you can be on all 14 shows. I just want to be Bob's Sunday morning show, or Bob's Friday night show, or Bob's Wednesday morning show, or Bob's Monday night show. You just pick it. Now I'm going to shift over to my phone number where you can call in and talk to me. There's my number, 626-698-0990. Now I have another number, 888-888-6582. That's my attorney's number. If you want legal advice or a solid attorney to represent you, his name is Vincent W. Davis. He's been fighting CPS for 39 years. He's one of the best in the country for fighting CPS and getting your kids back. So when you call in to 888-888-6582, you'll speak to reception. Make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. Also, when you talk to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. But he will help you. Now, below the bottom of my screen, there's been a banner that's been going on since the show started. And it talks about optional donations. Now, if you want a chance for a private text message from attorney Vincent Davis, it's only $10. If you want a chance for a private call from Vincent Davis, it's $15. And if you want to be on him as a guest on a 30-minute live stream, it's only $25. All you do is you send via cash apps on Apple Cash App, Apple Pay, or Zella to 310-308-7758. And I'll go through the whole broadcast. Also, he can be retained. He works out of Arcadia's office in Arcadia, California. That's in Los Angeles County, one of the biggest counties in the United States. His retainer is approximately $5,000 for a CPS case. He's a approximately $500 an hour attorney. But it all depends on how long the case been going on and the complexity of the case would determine the price that you can hire him at. Not only is he attorney trained in the areas of juvenile law, family law, and dependency law, he's a trial attorney. He's also a civil rights attorney. When your case is done in CPS, you can sue CPS. He's not afraid to sue them, especially when your constitution or civil rights have been violated. Mine was my social worker committed perjury. She lied under oath. She lied under oath. So he does civil lawsuits to fight CPS. He's not afraid. That's why he makes a dynamic attorney, because he sued CPS and won millions of dollars. He also has gotten back thousands of children. So I strongly recommend that you talk to him, that you hear him out. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. I mean, he'll text you for $10 or talk to you for $15. I mean, those are all reasonable prices. You have to understand, fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. You're going to have a professional doctor work on your heart. You're not going to have a plumber or a mechanic work on your heart. You're going to have a professional lawyer that's going to help navigate through CPS, that is not afraid or intimidated by child protection agency, that will get your kids back and will protect your civil rights. So please give him a chance. He'll go to other states. There is more in retainer. Like I gave a quote the other day to Atlanta, Georgia, it was 125,000. But up in Wisconsin, it's still 125. You have to understand, if he goes out of his area, he has transportation expenses, such as car or airfare. And when he's gone to another state, he needs a place to stay. So he has accommodations and food. And then he has to have a license in that state, so he has a license fee. But he's the real deal. He'll help you get your child back. I cannot emphasize or thank him enough for how he takes care of you guys, how he takes care of you. Now, I'm hoping that some of you will ask me questions or how I can help you. Now, Betty Joe was checking in, and Azra James, hello. Is this real? Yeah, it's real as you can get. I am live. Where are you from, Anzar James? All I need is a city and a state, or if you're from out of the country, your city and your country. And yes, some countries have states. I'm here to help you fight CPS, to help you get your kids or hang on to your kids. You're from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I know I've had other people from Milwaukee. Do you have a CPS matter, a child protection system matter, where your child's been wrongfully taken from you or you've been accused of inappropriate actions against your child? Is your family still together? You've been praying for help. ChatGPT is all the help I've been getting. Well, ChatGPT is a good AI source of information. I'm glad you're looking on it because what I've learned is from ChatGPT and from Google Browser. You have 9 kids at home. Wow. 9 kids from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And what's going on with your 9 kids? What's going on with your 9 kids? So far, we've had Betty Joe from Montana, and we've had Azelle James from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the room. We have other people that come and go. So it sounds like one of your 9 is gone away. What happened to that one child? You have one son that's not with you. What happened? What happened? They claim the risk of medical neglect. Without any proof, I didn't get the trial date I asked for. I somehow needed I somehow needed up in default. Now, first of all, there's an investigation. Do they come? Does this happen at the hospital or the emergency room or urgent care? Now, I don't know what you mean by end up in default. The initial assessment worker lied and brought up drugs in my how around my kids in the form of pills. My kids were removed twice within a month's time span. When they returned and found by the forensic investigators and doctors, they found there was no finding of abuse or neglect. Well, I'm glad to hear that. But what I don't seem to understand, um, how it happened. It is it is epitome of what happened there. There's no question about that. Now we have the gentleman from Milwaukee talking about one of his childs, and he further says, Azrael James says, when they returned and found by the forensic investigations and doctors and found there was no finding of abuse or neglect. So, what is the status now? Is your son back? You have 9 children. Why they only pick up one? Usually, CPS will take the whole 9 children. Now, my phone number is up there 626 698 0990. It's not too late to call in. My show ends in approximately 5 minutes. In about 5 minutes, my show ends. So, unless anyone calls in a minute, I will take my number down and put something else up. Good evening. You've reached Bob Pace on the live stream. And um, how can I help you? How can I help you?
Hi, this is Azrael James on the Facebook.
Oh, yes, Israel. You've been on my show talking and you want to know this is for real. This is very much real.
Yes, that's very much real. So I have 9 kids at home, right? So I guess I should start from the beginning, or how should I start?
Well, my best way is sometimes to start from the beginning, from the knocking on the door, or in your case, it sounds like you have medical trafficking where your child was taken in to emergency or urgent care, and a social worker accused you of neglect to your son.
Yes. So this is the chronological timeline of how it happens. So, okay, so my son, I had another son that's autistic that wear diapers at the time. He went to school. A teacher said that they was worried on maybe the if it was a handprint on his booty cheek or some type of print on his butt. But
What was
But
okay? You're going kind of fast here. I'm trying to understand. Your child, how old was your child at that time?
Agape was
He
I
was
think
going to what grade was he in? What grade was he in?
I believe like second grade.
Okay, and he still had to wear diapers. Is the school teacher having problems with that?
Uh, I'm not sure. I know I did have a problem with the teacher. My daughter was walking my autistic son to class, and the teacher had kind of made my daughter feel like she cussed her out for walking my son to class, and I had to like assert her rights and tell her that, hey, I'm the one who told my daughter to make sure he gets to class in front, and back home. Uh, he didn't kind of have a little altercation, but you know, but okay, so the CPS person showed up at my door. My wife opened the door,
Can you
and
stop there for a second? Is your procedure to open the door to strangers? Is that your typical thing you do?
no, I just left. I just left going to work, and she thought that I was turning back around and might have left my keys or something, and she just
Okay.
opened the door, believing that it was me because she just had a baby, she just had a newborn, and so sometimes you have to rest when the newborn rests. So she was just resting and woke up to a person knocking on the door, which she thought was me. You know.
Yeah. I can understand that because I usually teach everybody never open your door to any strangers you don't know. And I
Oh, I
tell
know that now.
people, I tell people to make arrangements with family members to do the same, and also with people that come by to visit to have a special knock or a special ring with the doorbell.
Yes.
And that way,
We as
because you
well.
see, when they come in, they muscle their way into your home. They start to investigate. Um, um, they start to investigate, and
So let me continue. She
right.
didn't get in when my wife answered, right? She just opened the door and she was met with the woman, with the social worker, and she explained why she was there. And my wife said that she won't be letting her in until I get there. And when I called my great aunt because my great aunt was my support system, my great aunt was also a registered nurse who specialized in special needs care as well, you know. So I called her, and I asked her to meet me there, which she did. So we were both introduced at the same time to the social worker, and so we all, so I was seeing his butt cheek for the first time too, and when we all pulled it down together, so it was like I had time to try to hide anything. We pulled it down, and we was able to see that there was no marks. The only marks he had, kinda, was from kind of having a tight pepper on a little bit.
I'm confused. Why? Um, I guess what I'm trying to say is that why were there? Uh, was the social worker had something the teacher told her? Why did you think there was something wrong with his butt?
Well, she told us, so I didn't think it was nothing wrong with her, but because I know that I don't physically discipline my kids. I'm not one of those fathers. I feel like I had my butt whooped enough when I was young, but that's another story. I was just saying, I know, so I was confident, and she also threatened us with force that if we didn't comply with her wishes, so I, like I said, I called my aunt, and I tried to have a witness so we could be able to all see what was going on at the same time. And I felt that with my auntie professional standing, that it would give her a little bit even more insight on what was happening if it was a mark or anything like that, and what we should do about because she knows us, she knows I'm not a physical punishing what's name. So if it was a mark on his butt, it didn't come from her. So we're going to worry about what we should do That's what I was thinking. But also I told her too that, I want them to cooperate, whatever. Oh yeah, I forget to mention that also in the midst of that, she was trying to get me to sign a placement, like a voluntary placement or a voluntary out-of-home care document that basically said that I'm willingly, knowingly, and voluntarily putting my kids into out-of-home care.
Well, how was it deemed? Why was it deemed medical neglect? I mean, what medical treatment you refused to have your son do?
No, this is how she got it, right? So, okay, so I guess I'm leading up to that part because if I skip any part, I guess you
Well, no, I'm confused because she said you're accused of medical neglect. Like I had a parent on my show a couple weeks ago that I worked for a whole week and got them to the point that got their kid back, and the department was falsifying, and now they have a civil lawsuit against them. But they said that it's because the parents refused to have the appendix taken out of a child, which it was taken out, but it wasn't her appendix, it was her gallbladder on the left side. They were confused. The pain was on the right side, but that was medical neglect, and that's what they're accusing. So what medical procedure did you not do to your child, or they accused you of not doing?
They accused me because they didn't say that I medically neglected him or anything. What they said was the risk of medical neglect, right? And what they
Well,
used.
what treatment were you
I
doing?
missed the appointment.
Oh, you missed the appointment for the child to go to the doctor.
Yes.
My goodness, they're stretching it so bad. That is so bad. And you're not the first case in Milwaukee. I have a quote up there that Mr. Davis will come and defend you up there for $125,000. I'm not trying to tell you need him, but I'm saying that I had another case. It wasn't medical, but it was a false arraignment up there. So I'm familiar with Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and so you're the second person that's called me from that in the last couple of weeks. And so anyway, what did they okay, right. So now the child is back in your hands, right?
No, sir.
Why?
Still in the care of the state.
Well, why is he in the state?
So that's why I wanted to do it chronologically, because if you ask questions like that, it'll have me bouncing around. So long story short, if I start back where I was, they had to give me my kids back. They tried to have me sign some type of voluntary thing. I called my aunt at the end of the interview, and she had also enforced my rights and said that I have rights, especially if they admitted that there was no findings of abuse or any neglect by their own doctors, and they had to return them to me. So they did, So like I said, she brought the when my kids left, they were in their expensive school clothes and expensive clothes. So I asked for that stuff back. With a lot of kids, I wanted that stuff back. So she was supposed to be bringing back the clothes that my kids had, and instead she brought used clothes and toys, and within the bag there was four narcotic pills. I forget if it was like Percocets or something like that, but it was some type of narcotic. I remember, and I had my, while she was bringing it over, I had the video set up to where my family members can be able to view them coming in my house and interacting with me. So I have plenty of family members that also saw it and recorded. And it was, so my aunt right away told me, my aunt and my mom told me right away that I need to, before I get a possession charge or something, I need to go to the police and tell them what just happened, and I need to go dispose of it.
Now, did they plant the pills in your bag?
Excuse me?
Did someone plant the pills in your bag?
So it wasn't my bag. It was supposed to be the kids' clothes, right? And it was the bag that itself was well, none of the clothes that she brought or the bag itself was any of ours. Not the toys or anything. She said that able to get the clothes and shoes, which were Jordans and name brand items. She wasn't able to get that. And she gave us some used clothes and toys instead, but and my kids was right there while they was in there, and she instructed us like, just give it to my kids. And my aunt instructed me to check that bag before I give it to them, And I checked it, and right there and there, and I was like, oh my God. And I showed my family members on the phone, and they was like, oh my God, see, I told you to check that goddamn, my auntie, she's old school.
Right.
So she's like, I told you to check that bag. So long story short, I went to the police station, I went to Walgreens, at Walgreens printed me out a printout, and I also got a printout to be able to show that I disposed of it there, And then I went from there with those paperwork, and I went to the DCF building, and I talked to her supervisor, Nika Marovich, and basically she told me that I could put in a complaint. So that's the whole reason why I was there. So I did, and so basically during that time, like I said, it seemed as if the worker retaliated off me filing a complaint. Because next thing I know, like a week later, my house was surrounded again, and this time they're claiming it's for another child, And what it was is that my son, I was trying to get my son placed on growth hormone because I had a daughter that was around the same age as him, and she was growing expeditiously, and I was able to notice that in comparison, I didn't feel like he was still pretty big for his age, but like pretty, healthy and whatnot. But I was worried about his growth as far as his height and things like that too, So from my understanding, a growth hormone shot will help that, So we were trying to get that with the doctor. So basically, how things happen is that the injection supplies was mailed to me, and I was supposed to go once I got it at home. I was supposed to go in to be able to show that I was competent and being able to give out shots, So it was a delay in the injection getting to my home, and she used that to her advantage. And not only did she use that to her advantage, she misled the court by telling the court that these growth hormone shots, which she didn't say growth hormone shots, she said as a real is on the injections, and without it, he can go comatose.
Right.
Which was totally a total lie. I had it, it was called Noticare. If anybody know what Noticare is, you can look it up and be able to see that is a total lie. I have her on recording when she went to pick up my kid. I have her on recording multiple times when I was interacting with her, admitting that.
Right.
So long story short, okay, so I went to court. They had all my kids, the judge was giving every kid back. That's not good. Give it back. That's not good enough reason. Give them back. So we got down to my last child, to Ezrael, and then it's like that's when she pulled out the lies and the big guns and got to saying stuff like that, So basically, as far as the face petition goes, right then and there, it seems as if she had a valid concern or valid reason. So they moved it, and I requested a jury trial, and it seemed as if because I requested a jury trial, they were trying to during that court date, they were trying to say like it'd be easier if you get a judge. But I wanted my peers to be able to hear what's happening, So that's why I requested a jury trial, And next thing I know, they said that I missed it, even after contacting the court and them not giving me no court date, and me contacting my lawyer and he not giving me no court date. They said that there out of nowhere I missed the court date and I was defaulted.
Right.
With no prior notification, no prior anything, and I was defaulted. So then I had to be subject to ongoing case management, ongoing case management. So here we go. So then, because of the bias of the initial paperwork, we got most of this, and I have her saying that during the removal, I appeared violent, I appeared unstable, I appeared manic, and things like that. Very
right. Understood.
Statements. So it was just because how much I was speaking up for my family, trying to be the main advocate for my family. But in the court, and so everything that he was saying that I was violent, all the lies were violent, that this and that followed on to my ongoing case. And, this is my first time ever going through anything like this. So, so I was just, I felt as if CPS was a whole, even though they transferred my case from DCF, Department of Family and Children Services, to a service provider, which was Children's Hospital, Wisconsin, Community Services.
Right.
But because of the continuation of the lies, everybody was still using the same language that the initial social worker used, even though I was like, where's the proof? I'm not doing anything. I'm continuing to do anything, and y'all still using that same language. So to me, it felt like they all was continuing to try to cheat me out of my rights. To me,
right.
So I was sending, I was sending angry emails, trying to get things together as far as me being able to have visits while he was out of home, and me and my kids being able to have visits out of home. Every time I made contact with them or anything like that, they misrepresented the contact. They made it seem, like I said, as if I was violent, angry, unstable, unpredictable, and things like that. They actually use words like that all the time. And there was actually on no basis. I was angry, but I believe that the angriness and the emotional reaction that I was exhibiting was equal to the amount of misconduct and rights violations that was happening to me and my family.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm sorry.
It's right now. My problem is I took the call pretty much at the end of my show. I'm run on my show. It's after 16 minutes, so I need to end it because the FCC has rules that I have to stick to within 1 hour. But I'm not trying to cut you short. I want to hear more about this, Israel James. Hopefully, you can talk to me tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m. That's Pacific Standard Time, and or talk tomorrow night at 7 p.m. because I'd like to talk to you further about this and help you. I really think that you have a good case against them. I really do, and getting your child back. And I can tell you the procedures you need to do that. Um, I want to say hello to Leica Hartzenberg from South Africa. She's from the Northwest province. I have people from around the world. I have a total of 24 countries. And Leica calls me family, so she's touching base with. And thank you for love from South Africa, Leica. Thank you. But I do have to end my show. I want to thank you, Arzel James, with your big family. Thank you so much from Wisconsin calling in and sharing your case. And I'll pray for you. I will pray for you. Also, I want to thank the person that doesn't have a name that says we break production. And he says, has a good night, everyone. I don't know where he's from or she's from. It may be a she, but I'm open pretty much in my show right now. I do appreciate all your time that you wrote me here and all your messages that you sent me. I want to thank Betty Joe from Montana for dropping in and giving me an update too. She's been with me a long time. Betty Joe's from Montana and has a niece she's trying to adopt that's in the hands of Nebraska CPS. She's a foster care mom too. So I want to thank all my listeners, all you people, and thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you so much, Ezrael, that for the thumbs up. I appreciate the emojis. That is really nice of you people. Now I'll be in again on tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So please join me then. Please join me then. Yes, Leica, the man that was just talking, his name is Azrael James. He's from Wisconsin. He has 9 children. His son was erroneously taken and misunderstood. We're trying to help him with his case so we get him back. So I am I'm so glad that you're here, Leica, and I love to talk to you more, but I got to go. I really got to go. So keep fighting for your family. Do not give up. Come here, and I'll give you support. And then also, there'll be a brief video after my show ends. Please watch it. It's a good video. Now, I've put on my screen the Department of Doge. It's the government agency that if you can't get anywhere at the local people in the county, either through the supervisor, a manager, or the director, then you go to the state and you have the civil rights coordinator or the ombudsperson. If you can't get through there, the federal government now handles CPS. It's called the Department of Government Efficiency. They have a website, they have phone numbers. Two is the White House. They do work. They also have an email address. So if you want to put a formal complaint in, you can do so. You can do so. And so Leica wants you to know that she sends her prayers and thank you for sharing your story. She's behind you. I have good people. It's a support group here. So God bless you all.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, God bless you all. And this is going to be Bob and Azrael signing off.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted. And if you go against it, it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the last